Hello, everybody. Good morning. How are you guys doing today? I hope everybody's doing well. My name is Jason Krutzky. It is Tuesday morning. It is a pleasure to be with you today. We had a pretty big week last week. We had the end of the month. We had Microsoft earnings, Amazon earnings, Google. We had a ton of big tech reporting last week. And so I wanted to take a little time, and we have another big week this week. Obviously, the hot topic on everybody's mind is the FOMC meeting, and not necessarily what the announcement is going to be. It seems that's pretty much locked in. It seems like the general consensus is a 25 bips rate hike on Wednesday from Jerome Powell and co. But what people are more curious about is what he's going to say about future rate hikes. Are they going to hike again later on into the summer, into the fall? Are they going to start cutting rates? Are they going to pause? These are the big questions that I think traders, investors are really looking to get answered. And they come at a time in the markets when it seems like, just like the markets tend to do, they tend to set up into these big events at pivotal spots on the chart. So this week and every week, I write a weekly blog and I go over, kind of where the charts are at and just the major indices. We're just talking SPY, Qs, IWM in this blog. You guys can find it on the TrendSpider webpage. And what I highlighted this past week on this last Friday was just what's going on the monthly charts, simply because we had a monthly candle close. Now, I know I got the weekly up here. I only have the weekly up here to show you guys kind of to just see it a little bit more in a more refined way. But we got the SPY up. SPY's at a pretty important spot, right? You have these previous highs. You have a small gap in between those August highs. And price is trying to get up there. Will it be able to fill that gap? My guess is that gap finds itself filled before too long, maybe on the Fed announcement. Now, whether or not it ends up gaining or rejecting, I just feel like they're going to fill this gap sooner than later. And, again, like I said, the charts tend to find themselves at pivotal spots right before pivotal news announcements. So that's where my head's at. You've got your anchored VWAP from the all-time high. We've managed to trade above it for a handful of weeks now. And actually, last month, let me show you guys. Last month was the first true monthly close above it since March of last year. Here's March of last year. We did get above it, but we didn't close above it in February, in April. They tried to get above it in August of 2022. No dice there. Again, in February of this year. Last month, or rather March, they closed right at it. And this was our first month closing above that anchored VWAP from the all-time high since March of last year. So you're talking about a year. It took a year for price to close above that anchored VWAP. And that's important because this anchored VWAP represents all of our buyers on average from the highs until now. So last month was the first month that on average, your average buyer of the S&Ps since those highs was actually in the money on this trade. That's a fundamental change in trend for this index. You see it closed above the 50% retrace, and it had tested the 50% retrace from the all-time highs quite a few times. So not a surprise, after a handful of tests, not a surprise to actually see it gain. And now we're only a couple days into the month, so we can't take this month we can't think too much about what's happened this month because there's just not a lot of data there. Real quick, good morning to everybody who's here. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I do appreciate it. I hope you win, bro, as well. That's a great little name that you got for yourself. Hope you guys are doing good this morning. I'm going to pop over to the QQQs chart, which also is pretty interesting. Now, a little bit different of a look for the Qs here. You can see that it was barely able to close just above that anchored VWAP from the all-time high. And it's really kind of, it's the first time it did that. March of this year is the first time it's done that since the all-time highs. But I'd say we got a more defined close above it last month. We kind of closed right at it in March. Last month, we got a close just above it, and now we're consolidating just above it. The 50% retrace from high to low, from that all-time high to the October lows, just above at about 331.62. But what's more interesting, if you guys are TrendSpider users, you might be familiar with raindrop candles. If you're not familiar with raindrop candles, these are volume weighted candles. The left hand side represents the volume for the first half of the time frame. The right hand side represents the volume for the second half of the time frame, and the distribution of price. So these blue, what this is a blue raindrop, a blue doji raindrop, and what this represents is extreme indecision in the markets. Now, I call this out because of its rarity. If we scroll back in time and we look for the last one, it takes a while to find the most previous blue raindrop doji, and that was in August 2015. So it has been nearly 8 years since we've had a blue doji, a true indecision monthly candle on the Qs. Very, very rare. There are only 6 other ones in history, I believe. We got one here, one here. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So this is the 7th blue doji in history. We have one right now on this monthly candle, but it's only 2 days in. We can't give it any credence. But this is a big deal. This is real, true indecision. The market does not know what it wants to do. Buyers and sellers are absolutely battling it out. So just to kind of break these raindrop candles down a little bit further, the left-hand side, let me show you guys. For anybody who's not familiar, this distribution is volume. So the amount of volume, the wider the candle, the more volume occurred at that price. And then each side has a little horizontal level, and that horizontal level is the volume weighted average price for that half of the candle. So this is the first 2 weeks of the month. This is the second 2 weeks of the month. This is the distribution of the volume. So you could see that average price paid around $316.99, $317. It's a big spot for last month. That was the price that pretty much, buyers and sellers were just butting heads on, and could not, and neither one could break away. Sellers couldn't take it lower, but buyers couldn't take it higher. Now, generally, when we see these blue raindrop candles, you tend to see price react, and oftentimes they'll act as kind of pivot levels. So will this end up being a reversal point for this index? I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. It is kind of interesting in that when you look at the VWAP from the highs, you actually did get a close, even though the price, technically, even though the monthly closing price was above the anchored VWAP from the all-time high, the VWAPs from last month, the volume weighted average price that was paid last month was actually below the anchored VWAP from the all-time high. So that's kind of interesting. You see a little bit of divergence there between the standard Japanese candle and the raindrop candle. Take that with what you will, allow it to influence you in whatever way you want. Good morning, Austin. How are you today, sir? And how is everybody doing? What are you guys keeping your eye on this week outside of the Fed and FOMC announcement? Do you guys have any names that you're looking at? We've got Apple reporting. If we turn on the data flow button and we add a widget, I'm going to go to earnings. Here are all of our tickers that are reporting earnings today and in the order that they're reporting. So we got a bunch of names in pre-market, or rather a bunch of names post-market today. Doesn't look like, let me see if there's anything nope. So everything, these are all the symbols, man. There's a lot of names reporting today. We are knee deep in earnings season. I don't know if anybody follows the TrendSpider account, but we posted a little video yesterday of a few things that you can do with earnings, ways to kind of filter using data flow, and then ways to utilize earnings in your scans and in your strategy tests. If anybody's interested, I can go through some of those ideas. Can I see larger inflow, outflow last month? I'm not sure exactly what you mean, sir. I saw people talking about Icon. What's the story with Icon here? Let me switch this to standard candles. Man, this is a tight range that this chart has been in. Oh, I see why you're interested in it. Huh. What happened today? Let's see. Hindenburg. Whoa. Okay. Tyrone, how are you today, sir? Yikes, Hindenburg coming after Icon. Interesting. Well, Hindenburg came after Square too, and Square ended up taking back a lot of that move, didn't it? I don't know if it's still holding. So no, it just bounced and gave it all back. Got it. Okay. So let's go back to IEP here. Let's check and see what's going on. I'm going to go to a bigger time frame. Yikes. This is a pretty strange looking chart. Throw some VWAPs up just to kind of see where we're at. You always want to know. Yeah, so notice how I anchored here to December 2002, and the reason why is simply because this is kind of the beginning of the move. Whenever you have a big fundamental something or another in a stock, you want to kind of anchor from a big fundamental point, and that seems like a logical place for me to anchor from, and you could see that this point of control was actually wildly important. I mean, look at the resistance area back in 2010. This $50 spot for Icon has been really key in a lot of cases back in 2010. And then, after you made new highs in 2013, you came down and you held it really nicely. And that $50 spot's been holding for, wow, nearly like 7 years. So to lose it is important for sure. Top of the morning, Tyrone. 88. Yeah, Crocs got ripped, didn't it? Let's take a look at Uber here. And what's going on with Uber this morning? Ooh, big move. Big move from Uber. They're going back up for those highs, huh? 38 bucks. Gonna try. Let me turn off this VWAP here. Interesting. I've not really been keeping an eye on Uber. You saw where I had a level, and they never tagged it. So on this bad boy, pretty decent thing to know. Since it's a relatively newer name, 2019, it IPO'd. Never a bad idea to know where your major levels are from the all-time high, and that's specifically your point of control, your VWAP or not the all-time high, I'm sorry, from the IPO. So you've got a VWAP here at 35.65. This is your average buyer. This is your average buyer from the IPO. So what are we trading at right now? I bet we're getting close to that. Yeah. So right through it. So this will be a really interesting level to watch today. It should be quite important. I would imagine anyway. You've got 4 years of price data there. And that's your average buyer from IPO. That's every single buyer that's ever bought this stock on average owns it at 35.68. Big level that, if you're bullish, that's the level to gain, in my opinion. Let's check from all-time highs and just see. Yep, same deal. Pretty much at the same level, a little bit higher, 36.12. That might even be where we rejected today. Yeah, right to it. So not surprised to see a reaction right there that anchored VWAP from the all-time high. I know a lot of people mention that we talk about these anchor VWAPs a lot, but this is why, because they actually really do play a lot of times. Coming into seasonal weakness, June, July tends to be weak for Uber, so that's kind of interesting to know. Let's check out unusual options real quick and just kind of see. Excuse me, I'm definitely feeling the seasonal allergies, so if you guys hear me sniffing a lot, I apologize. Not a ton there on the unusual options. I'm just kind of filtering a little bit by bigger strikes. Looks like you've got a lot of puts looking out in September. So did these guys have earnings today? Yeah, they did. Well, congratulations to the Uber Bulls. Is Lyft working as well? Lyft has earnings, what, 2 days. So Lyft not getting quite as much love. So Austin, can you give me a little bit more description on what you're looking for? You said you asked if we can see larger inflow or outflow last month. While we wait for Austin here, let me go over to Crocs. Crocs got rocked, huh? Just missed my spot that I wanted it at, this green line. But they're holding lows for now. And they made a new high. So it'll be interesting to see what they end up doing here. I mean, they're kind of holding where they need to, at least for the time being. What happened on the analyst side? Did they get any upgrades or downgrades or anything? Turn off earnings. Just some reiterations, looks like. Yeah, it just confirms. On ETFs, inflows, outflows. There isn't a inflow outflow tracker. You could watch breadth. Turn this on. I'm just waiting for market breadth to load up. Here we go. So what I would kind of be watching, I would be watching your market breadth. Are more names making new lows? Are they making new highs? What's going on there? Below the zero line, not the greatest look. You know, you really want this thing above the zero line. But you could be watching these lows, right? Are you making lower lows? Are you making higher lows? Are you able to get above the zero line? Are more names making new highs? Are more names making new lows? Are less names making new lows? Are less names making new highs? That could be one way to determine inflow, outflow. I would also use volume, honestly. Like, I think it's pretty interesting. I think it's pretty interesting that your monthly closed. Technically, they printed it a close above your average, your all-time high, your average from the all-time high. But the fact that they did not, that the actual average price paid last month was below that. There wasn't a ton of volume done up above it. So the next step to see here is, are they going to be able to do a bunch of volume above that anchored VWAP and start building out a base up here? Because it's going to be a really key spot. They really need to get and stay above this. There's a classic little anchored VWAP pinch here. The VWAP from the COVID low, VWAP from the all-time high. Last blue doji was in 2015. August 2015. Pretty crazy. It's a long time ago. And if you look back to what had happened here, looks like there was some sort of big down move in July of 2015. I don't know what the story was with that. Let's dig in a little bit. See if we can't go back there. And so this was the move that preceded the blue doji. So you had a big down move, and then the market was like, we don't know what to do. And you get a blue doji. They ended up going for highs. Looks like they ended up coming, they swiped highs and then pulled it back before ultimately a continuation higher. Does that seem like something that could happen here? I don't know. All we know is that it's just super rare. There's not really enough data. It hasn't happened enough times to really get any sort of read on what's going to happen. You can certainly go back and test them. It's just not a ton of data. It might be more reasonable to utilize the daily and kind of see where they occur, see what happens post to them. They don't tend to represent that price is going to go higher or lower, but oftentimes they occur just before a move in price happens. That's my experience with them, is they just represent that indecision. So we'll see them towards the tops of trends. We'll see them towards the bottoms of trends. We'll see them at the beginning of consolidation periods. We'll see them at the end of consolidation periods. They tend not to happen just like at random places. They tend to happen just before something, just before a trend change. July, the strongest for the Qs. Let me see. Yep. Strongest performing month on the Qs since 2006. And when we say strongest performing, what we mean by that, we don't mean that it gains the most. What we mean by that is that it has the highest percentage of green years. So July, historically speaking, it's green. It's a green month the most of the time. 88% of the time, July closes green on the Qs. That's what that means. There isn't a percentage value tied to that. So, it gains 3% in July versus whatever other percentages throughout the rest of the months. This is just saying that 88% of the time, July is a green month. And specifically, we're defining it, change percentage is greater than 0, meaning it closes green, right? If change percentage was anything less than 0, it'd be a red month. Now you can, if you want to, you can utilize different values for seasonality. You can say relative volume. So meaning it has above average volume for the month. This is 2x average volume. And then you can define if RSI is above 70, above 50, below 30, above money flow index above 50, money flow index below 50. And then, price above the 20, price above the 50, price above the 100. So that's what that means. And, historically speaking, or one way of thinking about seasonality, at least one way that I kind of think about it is you have weak months where you might, if you see weakness and you know that you're coming into historically strong months, if something is very weak in the months prior, that might be an opportunity, a buying opportunity. you would be looking at these really strong months as opportunities to unload your positions. You'd be looking at these weak months as opportunities to take positions. That is on the long side, right? If you're playing the short side, you'd be looking at it the opposite way. Hey, real quick, guys, for everybody who's here, if you wouldn't mind, hit me with a like and a subscribe to the channel. We do a lot of these Tuesday mornings, Thursday mornings. This week, we're going to be live for FOMC. So we're going to watch the market's reaction to FOMC. We are going to watch Jerome Powell's press conference. We do this every single time there is an FOMC meeting. And then we are very, very lucky. We've got our head developer, Mr. Ruslan. He's coming on to talk about the Price Behavior Explorer. If you have not played around with our strategy tester, you are probably not familiar with it, but there's a tool in our strategy tester called the Price Behavior Explorer. And what this tool does, it allows you to get a really, really detailed understanding of your trades. When you test a strategy, you're going to get all of the trades that were taken over the period of time that your strategy was being implemented. And this thing has a ton of data contained within it that you can utilize to fine tune your strategies. You can get an understanding of where you need to be getting out of trades, when your trades are invalidated, and all that sort of stuff. So Ruslan is going to come on Wednesday. This is going to be after the press conference, like directly after the press conference. He's going to come on, and we're going to talk through these finer data points that the Price Behavior Explorer is able to show you. So if you have had any trouble with the PBE, if you've never used it before and you want to learn a little bit more about it, it's going to be a great opportunity to do that. Russ is an awesome guy. He will answer any questions that you guys have if you have any questions. And he's just a good dude, and he's super, super smart. So he's going to be coming on again. That's on Wednesday after Jerome Powell's press conference. So we'll be live starting at 1:30 Eastern time. The announcement, what the Fed's going to do, the announcement is at 2 o'clock Eastern. So we're going to watch the market reaction to that. And then at 2:30 Eastern, Jerome Powell is going to speak. We're going to tune in for his speech. And I would guess that Russ is going to join us probably around like 2:50, 3 o'clock Eastern time. For anybody who's interested, we'd love to have you on. And then we're also doing a Spaces. Let me get you guys some links here so that you have them. I want you all to be able to find these things easily. They're pretty easy to find as it is, but why not make it easier for y'all? So here is the link to the show on Wednesday with a absolutely amazing graphic from our chief meme officer, Ryan. Brilliant graphic designer. It is like the funniest image I've ever seen. And then let me get you guys the link to the space. We've got a cool little gang of folks joining us for the space. Let me get you guys a link. Here we go. This space is going to be at 4 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday. I'm sorry, 6 p.m. 6 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday. Apologies. And like I said, we're going to be joined by our good buddy Andrew O'Connell from Real Pristine Cap. We've got Alex King from Sestrian Inc. We've got Caleb Franzen. We've got Steve Straza from All Star Charts and Ripster. I'm sure some of you guys know Ripster. Ripster47 on Twitter. We've got Ripster coming on. So we're going to be talking all things FOMC. I'm not sure what these guys are going to say. I'm hoping that they're going to bring some charts to kind of outline for us. But just a general FOMC discussion, you know, kind of the big takeaways. What everybody thought about the press conference, what everybody's thinking about, you know, just what Jerome Powell says, what they're thinking he's going to do going forward, and the big things that they're watching now that we know how Powell is thinking. That's the idea of this one. Did my music turn off? Kind of sounds like it did. So yeah, please join us. If you guys are interested, please join us. If we have any folks who are not yet TrendSpider users in the house, let me hook you guys up too. I feel like my music turned off. It says it's playing, but I don't hear it. Let's try this again. There it is. Sorry about that. But yeah, let me hook you guys up real quick. Anybody who is not a TrendSpider user, if you're interested in becoming a TrendSpider user, I've got a 35% discount for you right here. Feel free to use that on your sign up. 7-day free trials. If you need more trial time, you can always get a little bit of extra time. So don't hesitate to ask on that. And down here in the bottom right hand corner where it says contact us, you guys can't see it because my name tag is blocking the way, but there's a little button called contact us. You can reach out to our team. This is our support team with any questions that you ever have. They are happy to help you. And I'm also always happy to help you as well. My Twitter handle, you can see it down at the bottom panel here, at Krutzky Trades. If you guys ever have any questions about TrendSpider, do not hesitate to hit me up with those questions. My DMs are open and I'm happy to help you guys however I can. All right, so market's open. Let's pop in and have a look. Seeing a little bit of a sell-off initially this morning, huh? So they brought in the range, huh? You had your highs, you had your lows. They took out the lows, and now they've taken out the highs. It'll be interesting to see what they end up doing here. What are y'all's thoughts? What are you guys thinking about FOMC? Do you care? Are you interested in it? Are you worried about it? Do you watch? Do you join the lives and watch with me live? Yeah. I think that's kind of the going sentiment, isn't it, 88? Just make it be over. I mean, consensus seems pretty strong, right? 80, I think the last number that I heard was 86% chance of a 25 bips hike. Turn this music down a little. It's really then all about what's going to happen after. Because also, and I didn't realize this, I didn't realize that the market was pricing in multiple cuts before the end of the year. But I was on a space yesterday. Actually, let me see if that space was recorded. Because it was a good one. It was with our buddy Rahul. Yeah, here it is. Bunch of smart folks speaking. If you guys are interested in checking it out, this was a space that I was on yesterday. And if memory serves, I heard that they're pricing in multiple cuts. That seems a little nearsighted to me. Maybe just based off of all the numbers that we've been getting back, all these economic data points. Jobless claims came in lower than expected. Inflation came in hotter than expected. Raises seem inevitable. Cuts, not so much. But I'm no expert, that's for sure. Hey, Sonia, good morning. What do you got your eye on today? Any names that you're watching? Any predictions to make for us? Sonia is our COP, our Chief Operating Predictor here in the TrendSpider live streams. Thank you guys for the likes. Hopefully we got some subscribes too. Again, those subscribes really help me out. If you are not yet subscribed to the channel, please do subscribe. I'm here Tuesdays, Thursdays, and most big fundamental data announcements, and also for big earnings stuff too. Like I might, depending, I mean, I'm going live on Thursday morning. I might pop in and go live again on Thursday afternoon for Apple too. Maybe we'll do something fun for Apple. I'll have to see. Let's do a little scanning. Dow Jones, critical level, 34,538. If touches for the 5. Let's see. This isn't what I'm looking for. This is what I'm looking for. I don't pay a ton of attention to the Dow Jones Industrials. 345.38, huh? So it's really about these highs for you? Ooh, highly bullish Disney. Why are you highly bullish Disney? Any particular reason? So you say above this high, you gain another 5 to 10%? I'm curious to know, what do you need to see exactly confirmation-wise? Do you need to see like multiple closes above there? Or do you just need to see price get there? How do you think about it? While I wait, I'm going to look at Disney. Disney target 114. Okay. Any particular reason you're very bullish on Disney? Let's check and see its seasonality. June. Second worst performing month of the year is June on Disney. It's really trying to hold on to that point of control, huh? Let's go to all-time highs. Yeah, they are basing down here, aren't they? And they held these lows too. The COVID low, they did not make a new low relative to COVID low. They just came back and tested it. Yeah, it seems logical, Sonia. 95 being your line in the sand. 95, 96. Huge operator buying done. Operator buying. Define operator buying. Talking like market makers? Yeah, on the volume side, you did have a lot of volume. Well, actually, let me go. Just kind of looking smaller time frame here. Testing the V, actually doing it today, testing the VWAP from the December lows here. Looks like that was the low of this entire move so far. So pretty important little spot there, the POC and the VWAP from December. When are earnings on this guy? Yeah, just a couple of days, May 10th. Let's check out unusual options real quick, just see. Not a ton there on the unusual options, at least near term. The big trades are looking out October this year. Oh, what happened with KRE? Did it like break? Ooh, that is ugly. Yikes. Excuse me, guys. Man, KRE, that is really, really ugly. Patterns look wildly similar, don't they? I never really noticed this, but this guy here and this guy here, they look awful the same. So then the question is, do they stay in trend? I mean, we did make new highs. Do they hold these lows? 36.60. Do they hold a higher low? Or do they do like what they did last time, back in February 2020, and actually make a new low? And turn it into a big old broadening range? Could be. Yeah, you know, 88. We've talked a lot about this with guests in spaces. Our friend JC Peretz from All Star Charts always says you cannot have a bull market without financials. Well, I think the idea is just that the weak regionals are just going to get absorbed by the big banks. And if we look at XLE, or rather XLF, sorry, for now, they might be ignoring the banks, but for now, you're up and over where you need to be. That $30.50, it's a really, really big spot. If we go to the monthly, you can see those 2008 highs, 2018 highs, 2020 highs. And then your September 2022 lows. Huge spot on the XLF. So maybe the market is ignoring the regionals and just keeping its eye on the bigger ones, because they assume that the weak regionals are just going to get absorbed. I don't know. It's a little above my pay grade. Sonia over here making massive predictions. Let's take a look at some of these tickers. Amazon. I haven't looked at it since earnings the other day. What's it done? So you got the big move on earnings, and they rejected at the March 2020 high, anchored VWAP, which has been a big spot. We can see it's been a big spot a bunch of times. Back in June, back in July of 2022, October 2022 twice, February 2023, and then again on earnings. Will this be the time that they actually hold it? Baba. Another name I have not looked at. Oops. Well, the fact that we didn't make a new high relative to this guy, right? These highs are lower than these. Would, to me, suggest that they wouldn't hold here, but this is an important spot. I wouldn't expect this to hold. But since you're back to the, the beginning of the move, they'll likely try to hold it. But it looks like they kind of have tried to hold it last week. So now it looks like they're breaking down. I would anticipate a move lower. You've got a gap here down to 77 bucks. You've got another one here at 74. You've got a couple of gaps lower. What's this guy look like? Yeah, that's kind of ugly, man. This one has earnings May 25th, so there's a little time there on that. But something happened here, November of 21. That this thing just has not been able to recover from, really, right? Like you had a big gap down and continuous lower highs. So that's why I anchor the volume by price to that spot, just because seems like it represents something fundamental. Big gap down on earnings. Looks like that's not the first time that that's happened for Baba, but it's the most recent time. So decent place to be measuring from. And I only do this to know where we are relative to these items, POC and VWAP. We're stuck below both, not bullish. So then you can look lower. Kind of a different look on a bigger time frame, isn't it? Held 2016 lows. And you're really like right at point of control from the IPO. Breaking down below it right now. They tried to hold it past 2 months. Yeah, so maybe you've got a little inverse head and shoulders thing setting up. But definitely tricky, man. They really need to save it soon. In my opinion, the fact that they did not gain, you would have wanted them to make a new high here, in my opinion. Like for the trend to really change, you would have needed new highs. Doesn't mean they can't reverse this and go higher. They definitely could. Anything can happen. You know, patterns don't always play out, but for me, trend is trend, and you have a high here, you have a lower high, lower low, lower low. This is your only thing, is that they've made a higher low here. So what are they going to do? Are they going to come and like take stops and rebound? Or are they going to actually close and push lower? That'll tell you something. If they close and push lower, then you would anticipate if they bounce it that they would fail up here at some point. And that could be months from now. Who knows? At least that's how I would be thinking about it. But they could try to bounce it like here. Although I wouldn't necessarily anticipate it. I suppose that they could. Let me show you what I see. Let's see if Zigzag finds it too. Yeah, so Zigzag sees it, is what I was seeing. Oh, it's here. I mean, that would make sense too. So essentially, you know, little head and shoulders thing going on. Take out all these lows, hold it here, and they could bounce it. But the fact that they didn't make a new high is what would have me a little bit concerned. If they had made a new high, I would have much more expectation that they would bounce it here. My 2 cents. Take them for what they're worth. Sonia, how are you establishing minor or major buying? What are you looking at to make that determination? BTC at excellent support zone. Let's see. Interesting. So you had that move on the, whatever it was, U.S. government insiders selling Bitcoin or something. They rallied it. And now they're selling it off again. Based on past behavior of chart. Okay. It's a little broad, a little loose explanation, but you know, you do you. The big thing I had my eye on with Bitcoin, well, there are a couple of things. Bitcoin and ETH. Anchored VWAP all-time high. Go to the weekly, you can see it even better. I mean, pretty clean rejection. Front ran it even. ETH looks the exact same. Not saying it won't catch a bid here. Just saying average buyer all-time high is trapped. Exact same look on ETH. Even cleaner on ETH. Tested. Perfect rejection. Ah, okay. Sonia, thanks for explaining that a little bit more. 2 lower lows with minimum 50% retracement. Got it. The other thing that I had an eye on with Bitcoin, and it's still really coming into play, is your 2021 yearly open. So you would call this like you lost this level and they never really went back and tested it. I mean, they maybe did on some smaller time frames, but on the yearly, they came back in and tested it. After they lost it, you would anticipate them coming back and testing it. They front ran the same idea down here, right? You gained this previous high. My thinking has been at some point you would get this proper move to test the same way we just got this. And then all would be determined down here. I don't know if that's going to happen. You've got another one down here too, way lower. But I don't know, Bitcoin to 1600, 1800. I don't know if that's going to happen. It could, I suppose, one day. But this is where my head was at. I would want to see them like gain back. But that's just me. You guys, I'm coming up on the end of my time here. I just noticed this hour has absolutely flown by. 10's to. Anybody have any questions about anything last minute before I get on out of here? If no pressure. I'm always around. Like I say, you can always reach out to me anytime. On the socials, feel free to hit me up. And again, if you are going to be around tomorrow, if you're going to be watching, Jerome, Sonia, take care. Have a great rest of your day. If you're going to be around tomorrow for the FOMC announcement, please come join me. I'm going to be here. I'm going to be live, talking shop, doing the same thing I do all the time. And again, like I said, we are going to be blessed. We are blessed to get to be joined by our head developer. And again, he's going to be explaining some of the fine details of the Price Behavior Explorer to us. So if you're interested in that, join us. It's going to be awesome. All right, Austin, always a pleasure. Thank you for being here. 88, thank you for being here. Always good to see you guys. Tyrone as well. And I hope I win, bro. I hope you win, bro, too. All right, y'all. Well, again, like I say, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for tuning in this morning. Holler if you need me. I'm more than happy to help however I can. If you're going to be trading today, trade them well. You've got FOMC tomorrow. You bet 88, no problem at all. You got FOMC tomorrow. Today maybe could be a nothing burger. I don't know. I'm not sure where we're at right now this moment. But big fundamental data point tomorrow. So keep on your toes if you're trading them. And yeah, have a great rest of your day. Again, thanks for being here. I'll see you all very soon. Goodbye.